All right, let's jump right in. Today we're looking ahead to 2026, and we're going to decode the key global trends that are set to define the very near future. We've dug into some of the world's leading reports to piece together a real roadmap for what's coming next.
So, let's start with the big question that's on everyone's mind. In a world that feels like it's just in a constant state of flux, what are the real forces we need to get a handle on as we head into 2026? What truly matters?
Here's how we're going to break it all down today. We'll kick things off with a big picture overview. Then we'll dive deep into the mind of the consumer. After that, we'll look at how companies are fighting back, zoom out to the global economy, spotlight 4 megatrends you can't ignore, and then wrap it all up with a playbook you can actually use.
So, first up, the world of 2026. If you had to boil it down to one single theme, what would it be? Well, it's all about this search for balance, trying to find some stability in a world that's just being reshaped by geopolitics, huge leaps in tech, and this collective desire for solid ground.
And this really gets to the heart of it. The big takeaway here is that both people and businesses have basically given up on waiting for things to get back to normal. This state of uncertainty, it's here to stay, and because of that, caution has become the default setting for pretty much every decision that gets made.
Okay, so let's zoom in from that big picture and see how this all plays out at the individual level. I mean, how is the psychology of the average person changing right in front of us?
Now this is super interesting because it completely flips a common assumption on its head. Yeah, you'll see headlines about consumer confidence going up, but it's not because people are feeling rich. It's because they've just gotten used to the chaos. Spending isn't going to be carefree. It's going to be incredibly intentional. Every dollar has to justify itself.
And if you need proof of that underlying anxiety, look no further than this number. Even with a little bit of optimism, a massive 60% of people are still actively trying to find ways to make more money. That tells you everything you need to know about the financial insecurity that's bubbling just below the surface.
So it makes perfect sense, right? When the world feels complicated and stressful, what do people crave? Comfort. Simplicity. As Euromonitor points out, the products that are winning are the ones that offer some kind of emotional reassurance, the ones that make life feel just a little bit less chaotic.
Okay, so we've got this cautious, anxious, comfort-seeking consumer. What does that mean for businesses? Well, it means they're being forced to adapt, and they're suddenly fighting on totally new battlegrounds, driven by both this new consumer and some pretty intense global risks.
And check this out. This data from PwC is just wild. Geopolitics is not some abstract idea for a boardroom anymore. A whopping 60% of executives are pumping more money into cybersecurity specifically because of it. And get this, over 40% are literally rethinking where their most critical infrastructure is physically located. That is a huge, fundamental shift.
Meanwhile, there's this quiet revolution happening in the world of advertising. Retailers themselves are turning into media powerhouses. They're using something called retail media networks, basically using their own websites, their apps, even the screens in their stores to sell ad space directly to brands. It's a total game changer. And the ESG battleground? It's shifting from a voluntary nice-to-have to mandatory, hard and fast rules. South Korea is a perfect case study. The government is pushing renewables, tightening emissions rules, and flat out making ESG disclosure the law. It just goes to show how national priorities and corporate strategy are becoming one and the same.
All right, let's pull the lens back out again. All these shifts with consumers and corporations are happening inside a bigger global economic story. So, what does that story look like as we march toward 2026?
The short answer is, things are slowing down. The OECD's projections here are pretty clear. Global economic growth is expected to dip below 3% in 2026, and you can see it across the board. The US, China, the Euro area, all of them are slowing. This is the economic headwind that everyone, from individuals to entire nations, is going to be facing.
So, inside that big picture, there are 4 massive trends you absolutely have to watch. These aren't just separate little issues. They're the powerful undercurrents that connect everything we've been talking about, from how we feel to how we spend.
First up, the double-edged sword that is AI. On one hand, it's our best hope for things like cyber defense and creating these amazing personalized experiences. But, and it's a big but, there's a huge shortage of people who actually know how to use it. And worse, bot traffic is costing advertisers over $200 billion. It's an incredible tool, but it's also creating incredible problems.
Second, let's talk about rewired wellness. Our whole approach to health is being transformed. And people aren't just talking about it. They are voting with their wallets. More than half of us are willing to shell out more money for products that have real, tangible health benefits, whether that's fresh ingredients, less sugar, or an organic label.
Third, the idea of a simple shopping trip is basically dead. The path to buying something is now this tangled, unpredictable journey. You might see something on a social feed, Google it for reviews, and then end up buying it through a chat app. The takeaway for brands is huge. You can't just be on one channel. You have to be everywhere all at once. And finally, 2026 is crunch time for ESG. This is the year the talk stops and the legally binding action begins. You've got major laws kicking in everywhere from California to South Korea to the EU. Sustainability reporting is officially moving from a PR move to a core legal requirement. It's a huge deal.
Okay, so after all that, the volatility, the new consumer, the global slowdown, what do you actually do about it? How do you get ready for what's coming? It really boils down to seeing the new reality for what it is. This playbook from NIQ is honestly the perfect way to wrap this up. It's all about trading old myths for the new reality. Confidence doesn't mean more spending, it means people have accepted volatility. Private label store brands aren't just the cheap option anymore, they're about quality. And e-commerce isn't the only game in town. It's just one piece of a giant, connected puzzle. The winning strategy is to give people real benefits that make life easier.
And that really leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. When you look at this world of constant change and cautious consumers, is this just a huge threat that we have to manage and survive? Or is all this turbulence actually the single greatest opportunity for true, game-changing innovation we've seen in a generation? How you answer that will define everything in 2026.